Okay, so today we are focusing on steering and steering the car correctly. To steer the car correctly, the traditional method that driving instructors teach is what's called the pull-push system. So with that, basically what you do is you want to steer to the right, for instance, you pull down with your right hand and then push up with your left, pull down with your right. So that's pull-push. If you want to steer to the left, for instance, you would pull down with your left hand and then push up with your right and pull down with your left. That's basic pull-push system. This is recognized to be the safest system and the most efficient one, simply because you can use the full circumference of the steering wheel and you can get full lock meaning that you get to the point where it doesn't steer any further. You can get full lock quite easily. It means you're in control of the steering wheel at all times. Okay. There are a few different systems or different ways of steering you will have encountered. One would be where you might see someone press their palm against the steering wheel and then turn it like that. And this means that you've not got as much control over the steering wheel, although you can get it to lock all the way around. So whilst you get the full circumference, you don't have as much control. Another way you'll see people do is they bring their hand all the way down and to here to this point, which means then there's nowhere else to go with that hand, and it means that limits your steering to only half a turn. Same with that way. Also, you might see people steering like this, where they're crossing one hand over the top of the other. Okay, and again, if you look at this hand here, it limits the range of where that arm can go to, so it limits the amount of steering you can do. Back to level. Okay, so pull-push system, how it works is basically like this. If you think of the steering wheel as a clock face, you have 12 o'clock at the top, 6 o'clock at the bottom. Okay, so if you wanted to steer to the right, for instance, what you would do is bring your right hand to the 12 o'clock position, move it down to 6, and then with your left hand push up to 12 o'clock. If you wanted to steer to the left, you'll bring your left hand to the 12 o'clock position, move that down to the 6 o'clock position, then push up with your right hand. So it's pull down, push up, pull down, push up. Okay, so that's basically it. Now also, if you there's a general myth which says that you're not allowed to bring your hand over the top of the steering wheel at all. This isn't right. Okay, if you wanted to steer to the left and you did this and you needed a bit extra, you could do that, and that would be perfectly acceptable, because you would still have this amount of movement to go. Okay, so if you wanted a bit more, you could do. If you needed a bit less, then you could do that as well. Okay, same if you're turning right, you can bring your hand to about here, but if you bring it to here, there's nowhere else for you to go. Okay. So how does that work in practice? Well, let's have a look. Someone has just parked their car bang in front of this car here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back up a little bit, because there's about 15 centimeters gap here. I don't know how much there is at the back here, so I'm just going to pop it into reverse gear, have a good look all around, make sure it's all clear and all 6 points seems to be clear. I'm going to move back slightly just to give me room to get out at the front. Okay, so that should do it. So I'm in a lay-by, which basically means I need to move out onto the road, so I will need to steer a fair amount. Also, there's a blue car that's parked opposite, making the space quite tight. So I'm in first gear. I'm doing my 6-point check, as you should do. Seems to be clear. So you can see already, because I'm going to steer to the right, my right hand has come up to the 12 o'clock position. down to 6, up to 12, down to 6, and that's locked. I'm using the full circumference of the steering wheel, and to bring the car round again, I'm just going to steer it back to the left using the pull push system. There's a junction just in front of us, so we're going to steer to the left. So my left hand to the top of the wheel, to bring that round, push that up, and that's about all it takes really. Doesn't it? Takes about 3/4 of a turn, just over or just under, depending on how steep the corner is really. That brings me out to the left, straightening the wheel out again. When you straighten the wheel out again, remember to pull push in the opposite direction and don't just let the wheel go, because we do need to have control over the steering wheel at all times. I'm going to take the next one on the right. So to steer right, my right hand comes to the 12 o'clock position. We're on a bit of a bend, and I pull down, push up, pull down, and that was only one complete circle of the steering wheel that took me around that right turn. So you can see, whilst you just come out of the way of these cars here, okay. So whilst you have all of the kind of, you know, width of the wheel, the circumference of the wheel to play with, actually, you know, sometimes it doesn't even take a full turn in order for you to get around whichever corner that you want to go around. Okay. At the end of this road, then we're just going to go to the left. Just going to steer to the left. So there we go. Just lining up to the junction. My left hand to the 12 o'clock position, down to 6. And now my right hand should push up, shouldn't it? And then my left hand will pull down, and then I can feed that back again. And there is your pull push steering method. Remember that you use your left hand to steer left and your right hand to steer right, basically. So if you're steering left, you bring your left hand to the 12 o'clock position, pull that all the way down. If you're steering right, you bring your right hand to the 12 o'clock position and pull that all the way down. Also remember, if your hand drifts over the top of the steering wheel, it isn't a cardinal sin that people make it out to be. In fact, it's no worry at all. Steering left here now. I'm going to pull down, push up, just add a little bit to it. Still only 3/4 of a turn there. As I come out and around, I'm just going to feed the wheel back through my hands in the same way, and that's it. Just to let you know, to access the 2 documents that we're taking these videos from, all you need to do is, well, you can go to the description box at the end of this video, or the bottom of this video, and there's a couple of links there, and just click on those. Or alternatively, you can type into your search box DVSA. When that comes up, type into their search box either DL25 or DT1, and there you have them. Okay, see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.